Welcome everyone to another edition of Just Talking with Julius Freeman. Today's video, I interview Ray Ramos, the creator and writer of the Cryptidnals published by 656 Comics. Like Nick Patch's interview, our talk lasted around 2 hours. So this video will serve as part 1 of 2. During part 1 of this conversation, Ray and I discuss the Western genre and how it's making a comeback in the indie comic book scene, because we had counted, I think, about 4 or 5 indie creators using the Western genre to launch their own books, as well as the current state of the indie comic book scene as a whole and what the future holds for the ever-changing landscape. As the interview unfolds, you'll see that Ray doesn't hold back on a lot of his thoughts, which makes for an interesting conversation. So don't forget to hit that comment, like I mentioned, and subscribe to the channel to help this channel grow so that I may conduct more interviews like this one and with other fellow indie authors in the near future. So without further ado, let's get into it. No, I was gonna say, it's just trippy that the Western genre has been making a comeback.
Yeah, I've noticed that also. Like, but are they like good westerns? You know, like
that's the question. That's what we're gonna have to wait and see, is that whether or not if it's good. You know, because that's the one thing I've noticed due to of the modern landscape in the indie scene, and also a little bit on the mainstream side, is that people don't know how it's almost like the art of writing compelling stories with that pull your emotional that pull your emotional strings, your pull strings. I feel like that's kind of lost. That art form is lost a bit. Now, what do you think?
It's no, I mean, I totally agree with you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. For some reason I thought you didn't hear me. It's a slippery slope, man. It's because I mean, I know comics are mostly visual, right? They're driven by visual. It's a visual medium. Like, if you don't have good visuals, then no one's gonna notice you. But at the same time, it's that old argument. You know, is a comic more the writer? Is it more the artist, or a happy a happy duo, or whatever you want to call it, happy hybrid of the two? Westerns are tough to write. Westerns are difficult to write. A good Western, rather. What? I mean, let me retract that. So, like bad Westerns are easy to write. That's why there's so many of them back in the day. Like, that was just like, there was TV shows about them. Like, oh, let's all go over to Pa's farm and make sure that none of the crops have been stolen. It's an ABCD formula, right? But if you want something more involved, something more that leaves you wondering, then you have to look at some of the better Westerns that have been written and filmed. Like, immediately Unforgiven comes to the forefront.
Well, yeah, it's classic. But what about comic books? Like, does anyone ever talk about a great Western comic book? The only one I could think of off the top of my head is Mobius's Blueberry, but that was more of a European, book, and it was bigger in Europe than it was in the US. But that's the only comic book Western that everyone always points to, because, of course, it's Mobius, right? He drew, the Great Valley in the style that he did. But can you think of any Westerns off the top of your head? American-made Westerns?
Oh, plenty, man. And the thing about Mobius is Blueberry. That's Eastern, I guess, an Eastern view of Western, literally Western comics, or a Western comic. And they romanticize a lot, because if you look at Leone's stuff and you look at all these Italian directors that did Westerns back in the 60s and 70s and some 80s, they all look at it through this lens, and they romanticize the Old West. But it wasn't. It was dirty. It was filthy. It was nasty. The one that comes to mind immediately of American comics, for me, there's 2 that I've read that I really enjoyed, is Desperados. I don't know if you've ever read Desperados. No. That was like back in I believe it was the late 90s or early 2000s. And John Severin actually drew some of that. And he was well known for his Westerns. I mean, he's been drawing since back in the EC days. And a lot of the stuff that he did in EC was Western based. They had a lot of, cowboys and Indians, to turn the phrase, to coin the phrase. But Desperados, and it's really cool, man, because there was, I think, two. Um, I have one of the series somewhere, but there was two series, and the first one, it was cool because they introduced all these characters and their particular quirks, and how they fit as far as the story is concerned. And it's kind of paranormal-ish, and that's another thing too. Like, I've noticed a lot of modern westerns lean into the paranormal, I guess,
Yeah.
to hook the audience a little bit more.
Yeah, I can see that.
It was a little bit more paranormal-ish, and the first series was badass, dude. I remember, I love. I think that's a series that I have, and I have some of the second series issues. But the second series, they pretty much slaughter the whole group. Like, all the characters die almost in the second series, and it hurts because you're waiting all this time for these characters to show up again, and they all get killed, man. They get murked, like throughout the series, and it's really sad. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? Um, Let me see if I can find it. But it was that one, and of course, everybody refers to this one. It's the uh, the last ride of the Marvel Western Heroes. That one was sad, dude. That one was like, oh my god. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. I think it's the last ride of the Western Heroes. Um, it's
Posed from Marvel Comics.
Yeah, it was Marvel. It was Marvel.
Oh, interesting.
Last Blaze of Glory. That's what it was called. Blaze of Glory.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. The last ride of the Western Heroes. It's a 4-issue comic book limited series published by Marvel in 2000, and it was written by John Astrander, and the illustrated by Leonardo Manco. Dude, this book. Oh my god, dude! They take all of the old characters from the 60s and 70s, like the Rawhide Kid and Kid Colt and the Two Gun Kid and all these characters that pretty much have been lost to memory, and it's literally what it says. It is the Blaze of Glory. They all die, dude. They kill them all off.
Nice. Okay.
And it's just the way that they build it up, and and you're hoping that they don't. You start appreciating these characters to a point, and that's what kind of like, what was that, bro? Are you okay? You right there, guy?
Oh yeah, it was just the douchebags that drive through here. Sometimes they go like 10 over the limit. It's supposed to be like 30, and they go 40 here. It gets loud.
That's everywhere, man. That's here too.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time. These characters that nobody cared about, these characters that everyone pretty much forgot. There, I have an avatar now.
Okay, I was about to go. Are you just gonna have it like regular? All right, cool.
No, put an avatar. These characters that nobody gave a shit about, dude. Like, it's pretty much, and it retcons a lot of stuff from the original series, because I mean, those original issues were so cheesy, like,
of course, yeah. I mean, it's product of your time, right?
And yeah, exactly. And they retcon a lot of stuff. They make it more serious, and it was bad, dude. It was like you catch up with these characters, where they've been, all they've been doing, and they just they build them up to the point where you appreciate them, and then they kill them all off. It's like, wow, this is what I missed, but I think you can still find it on
okay,
eBay.
but was that a big hit though? Was that something that people like rushed to the store to get a copy of?
It was very niche. It was very niche because during that time there was not a lot of westerns out there. Like,
that was my point. My point is that at what point in the comic book industry the history of the comic book industry was when cowboy or western comics were big hits. Like, what? I can't even think of anything really of like a series or character.
It goes back to the 60s and 70s, man. Like, that's when Marvel had their hits, their western hits, the Marvel Western Heroes, or whatever you want to call it. That's when they were really like hitting it out of the park. A lot of people were interested, and the western had come back hard. It has its cycles, as I've noticed that it has its cycles. Late 60s, early 70s, the western hit, and then it kind of receded, and then mid 80s, the western hit again with like Silverado. I'm really into westerns. I really love westerns. And then it hit. Like, in the 60s, what were the westerns that were hitting a lot? It was the Leone, spaghetti. Yeah,
Leone, but I'm talking specific with comics.
You're trying to keep it comic centric. I'm sorry. So I think that's what drove a lot of people to comics, and that's what drove Marvel to publish more of these comics because these westerns were hitting during that time, and that seems to be happening again now. But it's more modernized westerns, or more like what is it called?
I think also on the edge of supernatural as well. I like the ones that I've seen
the
so far.
paranormal.
Yeah, that's what I've been seeing, an uptick of westerns, but with the twist of, with the mixture of a different genre, sci-fi genre, like that one comic book by Tony James, Moonshine, that takes place in the moon. Then you have
There you go.
you have the Diaz brothers doing the Man with No Strings. And and there's another one. Oh yeah, and then the guy I interviewed, Nick Patch, the writer I interviewed for the series, it has his own western out as well. It's very interesting. I was like, wow, it's crazy how the trend is, how like the genre is making the comeback in the indie scene. I don't know about Marvel or DC or Image or Dark Horse.
Marvel, DC, Image, not so much. I mean, if you want to call them like space westerns, because there was East of West, that was
that's it. There you go. All right.
East of West was a good one.
Yeah.
I just remembered. Jeff Mariotti. Jeff Mariotti was the one that wrote Desperados, and I think that was in the middle 90s, mid 90s or late 90s. For Image, Homage Studios, and John Cassidy was the artist for that series.
Oh, okay.
For the first series, and then I think they brought in John Severin for the second series when they murdered everybody. Yeah, if you can find those aren't very expensive either, man. Like people.
I'm honestly, I'm not really a fan of Western genre in comics. I prefer to see them in film because I think it's a lot better to show it that way on film. In comics, not so much, unless unless there's a twist. Like for instance, one comic book that sticks out for me is El Diablo, written by Brian Azzarello and drawn by Daniel Zidjol. I never pronounce his last name.
Yeah, I remember that one. I have
that one was great. I love that story. That story was fantastic because
it was.
Even though it was supernatural, I like that Brian Azzarello kept it grounded enough where you question whether or not they were actually seeing El Diablo, or if he was real or not, or if it was a figment of their imagination. Because there's a scene, and I think it was issue 2, is when they're riding off to chase. They're chasing this El Diablo character because in the first issue, he goes to a saloon and he just kills everybody. Just absolutely just a shadow figure, just killing everybody. And so the sheriff, Moses Stone, I believe his name is, gets the whole platoon together, a posse, and they go chase them down, right? So in the second issue, when they're around the campfire, they're all joking around about what they're going to do to this guy when they catch him. And then it like zooms in on one character and he bows his head, his hat's covering his face. And then when he goes up, it's El Diablo, right? And so everyone gets up all scared and shoots him, but they end up shooting one of their own. And the whole thing is like the whole time, one of the guys is like, I saw the El Diablo. I saw the El Diablo, right? And one of the other characters is like, dude, shut up. Like, we all saw the same thing. Yeah, but why? Like, where did he go? Like, we killed our own. You're like, what the hell? So the whole series, he keeps you second guessing. And I love that about the El Diablo story.
It was very like psychological and stuff like
that. Yeah. It was a great moral story too. I'm surprised that DC hasn't made it into a movie because it would be a great movie, honestly, dude. It would make a great movie.
You know what? And DC right now is like rocking, dude. Like they're fucking firing all fucking cylinders. They're doing really well. They're out comicking Marvel right now.
They are. I will say they are.
Which is good. It's about time and stuff. And all the stuff that they have, it's like a breath of fresh air for the comic book, for the superhero genre. It's really cool. Did you watch the Peacemaker?
No.
Oh my God, dude. Fucking Peacemaker, man. I don't know if you have a chance or if you've seen the first season, but second season just dude, just it plays on your emotions so well, and like you give a shit about this character so much. This fucking character that came from Charlatan, I think. Originally he was owned by Charlatan, and then DC bought him, but they couldn't use him or some bullshit with the Watchmen. I don't know, whatever. But
dude, no, they could use him. It's just that they didn't know what to do with him, I think.
Yeah. Oh my God, James Gunn, holy shit, dude. And he positioned the way that the series ends, he positioned Peacemaker to be like one of the most important characters in the DCU. and it's fucking badass, dude. I love it. I recommend you take a look at it. Um, but getting back to the whole Western thing, but those are the only ones that I can come up with right now, man. Those are the ones I can think of right now. I'm sure there's more.
There's another one that I found a few years back. It was published by Eclipse Comics. It was called Scout by Timothy Truman.
Truman, yeah, Tim Truman.
Yeah, and I just bought those issues because I just loved the artwork. The artwork was so freaking good. The story was about the premise of that story, right? Scout.
It's been a while. What is it?
Yeah, it's Native American. Well, the issues that I found in one of my local comic shops was it was like I think it was like a 4 or 5 issue storyline, and it's a Native American traveling with his 2 boys across the desert, and I love the fact that the artwork was just it reminded me so much of Leone a little bit. The way Timothy Truman drew those pages, he painted them actually, and it was like the first time that I actually felt like I was there because the art was so compelling and pulled me in that I actually you could lose yourself in that story, and I think that's what's missing today. I feel like everything's so watered down and streamlined that you don't have a Timothy Truman, for instance, who can. I want to make this Western and paint it in a way where I'm going to make you lose yourself and make you feel like you're there, and that's what's missing, I think, in today's comic book landscape.
Oh, big.
Do you feel the same way? Do you feel the same way, honestly, when it comes to writing? Because I find that going, I guess sidestepping a bit from the Western genre, we could come back to that a little later. Is really the lack of compelling stories. Do you find like there's a lack of that? Because Kyle, my co-host for Let's Talk About It.
Yeah.
I mean, he buys new comics every week. Like every time I go to the shop with him, he goes to his pull. He goes to the pull box, pulls out his stack of comics, and he lays them all out to like look at them. And he always tells me like, "Yeah, I'm gonna drop this because I'm 5 issues in, nothing's happening. It's just talking heads." And then I'm gonna drop this one. It's the 4th issue, and nothing's happening. It's like, what the hell's going on? Why? Like what's happening? And a breath of fresh air. A little side note is that I did see a young lady enter the store last week. She must have been about 20 or 21, and walked up to the cashier. "Do you have Absolute Batman?" "Yes, we do. It's in the front, right in the front." So she walked over there, grabbed her issue, went back in line, paid for it, and left. Right, and then I, got my books and paid for them, and then left. And I actually saw her in her car reading the issue, and I was like, "Dude, that takes me back."
That's cool.
That yeah, it's cool. Exactly right. What they used to call them, parking lot books, or something like that, or
yeah, you can't wait.
Huh?
You can't wait. You gotta.
Yeah, exactly. You can't wait. You got to read it right then. So it was fine. It was kind of not kind of, but it was really reassuring to see that. Like, okay, maybe it's not all lost, but like I told Kyle, it should be like that for almost every other book, and it's not. It's only for one that I've seen so far. And Absolute Batman. Absolute Batman is the only one that I've seen so far that the young people, I'm talking about people who are in their 20s, early 20s, that have to have that book. Whereas, I'm sure you recall when we were, younger in our 20s, it was like 10 books that you couldn't wait to read every month.
I would make a list. Yeah, I would make a list of what I want to get.
So do you feel that the landscape today, writing wise, is weak?
Yes, I do. I feel that it's rehash upon rehash upon rehash. Something that we haven't done with the character. Let's do it again. And you know what? I applaud DC for Absolute Batman. And I'll tell you this real quick. When I was at the library com like 3 weeks ago, I had about 5 people, young people, came up to my table asking if I was selling comics. And I said, yes. And they're like, "Do you have Absolute Batman?" Number one. Nice. Yeah, they were asking for Absolute Batman #1. And I went back, dude, after that, being asked that, and I started dissecting that book. I started looking at that book, and it's cool. I'll give you that. It's cool. It's awesome, but it's also a rehash, I think. It's also rehashed. They're just doing the Ultimate Universe for Batman, I think. No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
That's what that was. They made it very clear in the beginning.
Oh, they did?
Oh yeah. That was clear from the beginning that the Absolute Universe was DC's version of the Ultimate Universe, which is why Marvel reactivated the Ultimate Universe, because DC was going to start doing that, but they called it the Absolute.
Did you hear that they're going to stop the Ultimate Universe now?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because it bombed. It bombed, dude.
It's all Hickman.
Well, yeah. I mean, Hickman didn't do a great job writing Ultimate Spider-Man, and Kyle bought that book. He followed that series, and he told me, dude, it's like talking heads. It's like every issue is just people talking. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why am I getting nothing but talking head issues?
Yeah.
And there's no action. I mean, and then I think he said like in the 6 issues, like finally there was some action, but it only lasted like about 5 pages, and after that, it went back to talking heads.
It's the whole 787 rule that Oli and I were talking about that one time. You know, like if you're gonna do a monthly comic, you gotta keep the audience engaged, and that's another thing, man. Like writers like to talk. Don't get me wrong, we do too, right? But we've had this argument. You and I have had this argument about too much dialogue kills the page and kicks away from the art, and kills the momentum of the story when it's moving and stuff. And I was going back and I was reading some of the old books too, man, like the Claremont books. Like I grew up on those. I love those, but there was so much talking during the fights. I was like,
during the fights, yeah. That's right. That's right.
I'm like, how can there be so much talking during the fights? And that's something that has to be broken, I guess, when you're trying to write like for a team book, or you're trying to write an action book. You cannot have dialogue during fights. You can have some, but you can't have like these huge fucking monologues during the fight. There was a fucking, oh my god, there was an image book. I think it was I want to say it was either Cyberforce, or it was what was the dude's name? The Wolverine of Cyberforce. I forgot his freaking name. John Bearclaw, the guy with the razor fingers.
Oh, okay. All right. He also had the same Wolverine hairdo, right?
No, he had a ponytail, apparently.
Oh, yeah, ponytail. Okay.
They all had ponytails in the 90s. But what was his name? It's not gonna bother me. Julio's here, he'd remember right away. Anyway, there's a page in one of the image books. I don't know if they did it on purpose or if they were just mocking the style, because maybe they were sore at Claremont. But there's a page, and it's a full page, it's a panel, it's a splash page of this character jumping down from a tree with his arms extended. Right. And above him is this word balloon from hell, dude. Like it's a huge word balloon. It's a whole like, monologue of what he's gonna do and where he comes from and what his origin is and who he is. And he's jumping down saying this as he's like gonna engage these characters in a fight. And I'm like, is that what it was? Is that how it was in like the Claremont books, like in the 80s, the 70s, and the 80s? Like I don't remember. And then I went back and I started looking, and sure enough, like there's so much talking during the fights.
But is that a bad thing though?
It's not, because it's done entertaining in an entertaining
exactly. That brings up a good point, because Kyle's complaint was that there was no fighting. It was just literally people sitting down talking.
See. If it had just been fighting and talking, then maybe
I would imagine it'd be a lot more tolerable for readers, modern readers, because I never had any problems with that personally as a reader growing up, which was as long as I saw the cool action moves as they were talking. It of course it doesn't make sense in terms of like the real world, right? You don't talk when you're fighting. It's usually it's normally just fist flying and that's it. Right, but you could get away with that in the comic book because it's 2D. It's it's still images as opposed to a movie or an animated movie, where it would disrupt the flow of the action by like for instance John Wick, right? If John Wick spoke the whole time when he was like killing everybody, it'd be like, what the hell? Why is he talking to everybody?
Why is he letting him know he's coming?
Yeah, exactly. But in comic books, you forgive it because as long as the artwork is moving, which is I think why when Jim Lee and Chris Claremont started working together, it worked. It was a good fit because I think Jim Lee was like, okay, well, I'm gonna gonna make the panels as interesting as possible
Mhm.
as they're talking.
Jim Lee came from that background where he saw John Byrne working with Claremont, and he saw what John Byrne would do for
Yeah.
a panel to
Yeah.
make whatever Claremont was writing work. And Claremont would write these fully fucking invested scripts for John Byrne to like just like, what the hell am I gonna do here, man? Like he has to pick something and make it interesting so that it captivates you for that moment that you're reading all this fucking dialogue or this reading all this these words on the page. And that's what you're right. Jim Lee came in and he's like, yeah, I remember how this worked with Byrne. I'm gonna have to make the same choices in order for it to make it work with me. And it worked, like you're saying, it worked. And it kind of like, I don't know if that's the style that he took or that's what he took from his time working with Claremont, because it spilled over into Wildcats. Because there's a lot of Wildcats books that they're really dialogue heavy on specific pages, and I think that's why they were making fun of that whole Cyberforce page, because they're like they're in the middle of a fight and they're like talking, dude, like they're just saying all these backstories about themselves, and I'm a Karubian warrior and I came from this planet and I've been here for 2,000 years,
Yeah.
and it's just like, if the art wasn't pretty, I'd be gone by now. I'd be done.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's safe to say history has proven that Image was overhyped in terms of how good the books were. However, not overhyped when they came to the impact they had on the industry. They had a tremendous impact. So kudos to them for that. But yeah, looking back on a lot of those first wave Image books, you realize, yeah, you know what? Now I understand why it's important to have an editor working with you. Now I understand why you actually do need a good comic book writer to work with a Rob Liefeld or a Jim Lee or a Tom McFarlane, because they came from they didn't come from independent circles. Those guys, they came from the old school, like, here's the deadline and work different characters, work the characters that already been established. So it was all new to them. But people like you and I, we're pretty much molded by fire, man. Like, we had to figure it out all on our own. We didn't have any editors that worked with us that worked at DC or Marvel and molded us into the writers we had to learn by trial by fire. And by doing that is we made a lot of mistakes scripting, and then we studied, not just I don't know about you, but not only did I end up studying all the writers, but I ended up studying the artists as well. And then as I got older, realizing, you know what, there's like the Buscema's, for instance, Kirby, then there's Gil Kane, like those specific artists were like, yeah, these guys, every writer should study. Study Alan Moore, study Chris Claremont, of course, that goes without question. Study all the great writers that came before, because those writers they provided a great amount of entertainment for a lot of us growing up. However, if you want to be serious about making comics, you have to study the great storytelling artists, because that's how you become fully rounded. That's how you become like a complete comic book writer. You know what I mean?
It's true. And to take it a step further, man, like, if you study comic strips, that's even more like concise, because you have to fit all this story in 4 panels. Usually those guys are writing it themselves, so they already knew what they wanted to do, so the writing came second. But like some of the stuff that was written by a second party, by a writer and an artist, like the Prince Valiant stuff back in the day,
he's the master, dude.
That stuff, those writers were efficient, and they drew the audience in, they drew the reader in, and the artwork did the rest, and that was cool. That's how it needed to work. And now that is, to me, that's lacking now. There's a few writers that are still able to pull it off, but those writers have been around for a very long time. Like Snyder. I mean, he's writing Absolute Batman. It comes back to that, because that's like the hot topic right now, right? And I think we had this discussion one night also about Dragotta going overboard on the panels on one page or something like that.
Dude,
Because
he's tremendous. Yeah.
I mean, I know he's trying to make it work. You know, whatever is happening there, maybe he didn't have enough. He didn't let the page breathe or anything.
No,
But
I think that was well, according to Kyle, when he went to yeah, I think it was San Diego Comic Con.
mhm.
I believe it was. Um, he did mention that he went to a Nigga Degrota panel, and Scott Snyder joined them, and he did tell me that they actually worked together. So those 20 panel pages are not Dragotta. It's both Snyder and Dragotta doing it together.
How much fucking coke did they do that night, dude? Because I'm gonna fit as many panels on here as I can.
But you know what? That's what makes it. See, that goes back to my original point. That's what makes it unique. There's not a lot of that out there right now. The whole compressing the panels into one page, and I don't mind that because I've seen it with Sam Keith. Sam Keith did that with Max. You know,
I remember that. Yeah,
and it's a bold move, but if you can make it work, it could. Man, it's beautiful. And the same thing with Frank Miller. You know, with Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of panels in some of those. Not just Dark Knight Returns, but his Daredevil run too. Like I remember I bought a few issues for my LCS, and I, you know, of course, I'm reading the books and I'm studying his panels, his sequentials, and yeah, there was one page where I was like, dude, there's 15 panels here, but it worked. It worked because as long as you follow the sequence, and on top of that, if you make sure it stays within the contextual environment of the story, you don't lose it. You don't lose it. You don't lose the reader.
Yeah.
And that's why Frank Miller is considered to be one of the best. Same thing with Kirby and so on and so forth. And so, you know, going back to the original question, yeah, you're right. It's lacking, and the fact that you can see it too it speaks volumes. And so now I'm left wondering: are the youth not educated enough? And I don't mean educated like, you know, they're dumb and they didn't go to school. I'm talking about educated in terms of how it's supposed to be. How a comic book reading experience is supposed to be. Because when I talked to Kyle about it, and when I started to wise them up, in other words, you know, and to put it in those terms, and I told him, hey, you know what? Actually, try to find books from the 80s. Try to find these issues from the 80s. Here, try to find this writer. He was really big in the 80s and 90s. Try to find this series. This was really good during this run in the 90s, right? And he came back and told me, dude, night and day between what was produced then for $1.50 or $1 sometimes, depending on how far he went back, to now where I have to pay $5 for 22 pages of this like dragged out story for the issue. Whereas he's the one that mentioned it. I didn't influence him whatsoever. He's the one that observed it, because then he told me, and then I read some random issue from the 90s, and there's a story A and there's a story B, all in there in 28 pages or 22. I don't know how many pages were back in the day. Was it 28 pages or 22?
24. I remember 24. I don't know why, but I think
it would go back and forth sometimes, wouldn't
22,
it?
24, yeah, and then they'd have the 32-page specials or whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, like, do you think that that's what's hurt the American marketplace in terms of comics?
Honestly, big time, I think so. Writers now get caught up in their own smug.
I would say so. Yeah,
they do, man. They love smelling their own farts and shit. And that's what prevents them from seeing the bigger picture. I'm sorry, I'm gonna pick on him, but whatever, you know. Fucking Ultimate Spider-Man, you know, he comes. What's his fucking name? Okay, I forgot his name. Like I was about to say, and I forgot his freaking name.
Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah, Hickman. Oh my god, Hickman has gotten so much praise that he believes his own shit now, to the point where he's like, I can write whatever I want and people will love it. And that's what's hurting it, dude. He forgot what comics are. He thinks, and don't get me wrong, it is an art form. It is an art form, but it's an entertaining art form. And that's
100%.
Yeah. People forget that. And because of that, he just focuses so much on the art form rather than the entertainment. And it just becomes what, like Kyle said, it's just talking heads. It's just conveying a story to you. Fucking read a novel, the end. But if you remember to entertain the audience, and you need to, each page needs to pop, each page needs to be memorable.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
something that I've been arguing to death with in the back rooms and with you and with everyone else that I talk to about comics. There's this one guy that comes into the shop, into the pawn shop. Cool guy, man. He's a really real cool guy. He's a child psychologist. And I talk to him a lot, and he picks up indie books, nothing but indie books. That's all he buys. And it's really fun to talk to him sometimes because he knows what's going on in the indie scene. And the last time that I talked to him, he was asking me like, "Oh, did you pick up the fucking the what's his name? I forgot. I what am I like having brain farts today? Isom. Did you pick up the Isom books?"
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's trippy.
And I'm like, no, I didn't. I read them, and I was just like, and he starts going off on it like it's this and that, and I understand what he's trying to do, but he's not doing it right, and he's just going off on the book, right?
Right.
And I asked him like, do you remember any one page in that book that stood out to you? Do you remember any one page that is locked in your mind when you say Isom, you go directly to that page? Because if you say fucking Uncanny X-Men, I immediately go to like covers, I immediately go to pages, I immediately remember artwork, right? I don't remember story much, but I remember the artwork that was driving that story. And he's thinking about it, and he's thinking about it, and he's thinking about it. He's like, I remember the cover. And I'm like, that's not saying much, man. Like the book has already come out. Like how many times is on issue 3, or did he stop it? I don't even remember.
No, I think issue 3. I think he came out with book 3, and I think he's doing a compendium or something like that.
Wow, already? Ooh, wow.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know what the thinking is behind that, but
talk about loving your own smug. Wow. And
you said it, not me.
No, it's fine, man. I don't give a shit. It's not.
No, like I know. And then plus, this interview is a free for all, so you can say whatever you want. So
oh, really? Can I really?
Well, I mean, look. Let's just be candid here. I mean, it's one of those things that needs to be talked about. And one of my main gripes with, like, say for instance, like even like Comicsgate, like people, some books there, and Isom is another one where, if you go out of your way to crap on something, and someone comes along and says, I could do a better job, then you better step up to the plate and actually, back up your words, because people are going to hold you to that. And that's the thing that bothers me about a lot of the indie scene too, is that a lot of the people who do back the books, I assume they read them, but they don't say anything in the same candor as like the people who crap on the books today and continuously do so, because they like them. And it's like, well, come on, guys. Like, you can't hold one group of people to a certain standard and not hold this other group of people to a different standard. You got to keep it the same. So if your boy's book sucks, then I think you should say your boy's book sucks.
Yeah, exactly. And I would expect nothing less out of you if you read something of mine that didn't. I mean, you've done it before. You told me like what's going on here. Like,
yeah, exactly. But see, but we know each other. I'm talking about the disconnect. No, I don't want to say disconnect, but you know what I'm talking about, right? The reader and creator. There's a wall there, because the creator knows what they're doing because they studied it, right? You and I took the time to learn our craft, the tools of our craft, grammar, punctuation, story structure, plot, all that stuff, right? We studied it, we practiced it, we made sure we perfected it, so that way when we do produce stuff to the consumer, right, the reader who doesn't care about any of that things, as long as you get the final product, that's what I mean when I say that. I say about that. So
and in saying that, like the final product that is put out nowadays is not a good product. It's not. It's lacking big time, man. And I'll say it right now, Comicsgate is fucking dead ski, man. Like there's nothing going on there. There's no fresh ideas. There's nothing new coming out of there. It is already like it's on its last legs, if not already dead.
You think so? I don't think so. I think they still have a good amount of things there. It's just that again, I haven't read, like, for instance, I haven't read what's that one, the one that what's his face does about the cats in space or whatever it is.
Starlight Cats.
Yeah, Starlight Cats, but not the cat book. What am I thinking? The one that he's doing now, the one where I guess they're a bunch of fighters in space.
Starlight Fighters. I don't know.
Well, apologies to I can't remember his name, dude. Why can't I remember his name? The artist.
Man,
Why can't I remember his name?
You can put like an addendum at the end, like, oh, by the way, that was his name. Dude, I don't even know what he's doing. I thought Starlight Cat was a one shot, one deal. That was it.
No, I've been hearing. I've heard good things of that. The book that he's doing right now, and that's the only one. And also, there's Graham Nolan's book that I've been hearing good things about that one.
That's the Washu, or what is it called?
No, the Wraith, or no, the
Wraith is what's his name? Andy Lanning, isn't it? Andy Lanning, isn't it?
No. I don't
think so. I'm like,
I know, dude. I'm like, you're talking about, you want to talk about brain farts? Oh, Shane Davis.
Ese güey también, pues ese no hace ni madre tampoco, el güey. O sí hace.
I can't speak on it because I haven't read any of his books, but that's the only one that I know that people actually do enjoy, because I always measure, especially for the crowdfunding scene. Mm-hmm. I always measure the level of success based on how your campaign does your next campaign. So if your campaign did, for instance, I don't know, let's just say 10K, and then your next campaign of the same series but part 2 does 15K or 20K, that tells me you gained the readership. That makes sense?
I can see that, yeah. Unless, I mean, it also has to do a lot with the people that are invested in it, or the people that know him, or the people that are like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna back this book because I have the same mentality as him, whatever. I think
there's that factor too. But I think if you read it and you enjoy it, you want more, right? That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, of course, shit, that goes with anything. So
yeah, it's like, because like, for instance, I'll give you an example, like Inglorious Rex. That's the name of the book.
Oh, okay, I remember now.
Inglorious, the monster martial arts, and I heard that one's good. I actually heard that one's actually really good. He does put a lot of effort into it. The art is great. The writing is good. That's what I heard, but I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't read it, so I can't speak on it. But that's the one that I'm thinking about picking up, because I like martial arts, so why not give it a shot? But yeah, I was going to give my example of like, for instance, like this writer who does this book called Cal Exit. Have you heard of that comic book?
That sounds familiar. What is it about?
It's pretty much how the state of California secedes from the Union, and they are like kind of like a free-for-all vigilante state, pretty much.
Oh shit! Okay,
it's a great premise, dude. Honestly, but I guess my point I'm trying to make to you is that I don't align with that guy's political ideology and his ideas in the story that he presents in his story. Mm-hmm. However, I still read it and enjoy it because the premise is fucking strong, the writing is really good, and the character development is on point.
See, that's cool.
Because I can, I'm not that kind of reader who's like, oh, that guy, he's misaligned from my for me politically, so I'm not going to buy his book. I'm like, no, if the story's good, I'm going to read it. Like, I'm going to enjoy it. And Cal Exit, like I said, has a lot of ideas that I don't agree with politically, but I don't care because the story is so strong that I met him at San Diego Comic-Con 2 years ago, and I approached him. I was like, dude, where's Cal Exit, man? Like, you left me hanging in issue 3. Like, what's going on? I want to know what happens next, because the story was still good, dude. The story is great. I highly recommend it if you could find it in your shop.
Yeah. And what did he say when you told him that?
He that's when he told me, oh, we're going to come out with new ones because obviously of the situation at hand right now. I have to come back. So, but he did, dude. He did. I think he's in his 3rd issue right now of the revamp. So it's good, dude. I still enjoy it. It's one of the good, like, that's a prime example of telling a great story while doing your ideology stuff in it.
I'll look for it. I'll see if I can find it somewhere on the high.
Yeah, try to, man. It's really good. I think it's really underrated, honestly. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's the only one example of, like, I guess the theme of the show, I guess, is the whole where are the writers at? Where are the writers at that used to tell great, compelling stories that made you want to come back every month? That got you mad at the end of the issue, not because it sucked, but because you had to wait a month for the next issue.
Shit, man. A lot of them
You know?
did their proof of concepts and got picked up
Yeah.
by studio. That's all it was, you know. Like
Yeah, and that's another good point. Like I have been noticing that I've been reading a lot of Netflix pitches in
mhm.
a lot of these books.
Oh, big time, man. Like
You
that's
know?
all it is. They cut their teeth on a like an icon or an established character, and they run away and they're like, "Fuck it, Netflix. Hey, I have this concept. Hey, did you see that I did all these numbers on this Batman book? Like, hey, come
Yeah.
on, like, give me a chance." Um, did you see? I don't. This is a little bit off subject, but on subject. Did you see the fucking crossover that they're having? The Swamp Thing is killing all the children.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that announcement.
I'm very curious about them.
Me
Even
too. Me
even
too.
though
Because I
Tiny
didn't know the
Onion
premise. I'm
is
sorry.
my
Go ahead. Go
enemy.
ahead.
Oh, Tiny Onion is my enemy. So whatever, you know. But
Wait, what? What do you mean he's your
yeah,
enemy?
yeah, he's my enemy. He's my nemesis, dude. I can outright him. Fuck that guy.
Come on, man.
Let's go, bro. It's on. Let's go right now.
I haven't read any of James Tinian's work, so I can't speak on his work at all because I never read any of his issues. But however,
That was
when
intriguing.
someone, huh?
That was intriguing though. The fucking wow, something is killing the children. Now, how are they gonna pull that one off? Like, I want to know.
Well, do you know the premise of Something's Killing the Children?
No, I didn't get a chance to read.
So I found out what the premise was from a fellow comic book shopper last week.
Mm-hmm.
When he told me, because I asked him, hey, what's this premise about? Because I saw they're in issue 14 at the moment, or maybe further than that. I can't remember. And the guy next to me said, "Oh, the premise is that there's like this monster killing children, and only the kids can see it, but the adults can't see this monster." And I went, "Oh,
I've read some of the Something is Killing the Children. I've studied my enemy, of course. I've read his stuff, so it's good. Don't get me wrong.
Wait a minute. I need to know, like, what was it? Something that prompted it, or just because you just think that you're a better writer than him?
Both.
I'm curious now. What happened?
Just I read some of the issues, and I'm like, I could have done this. Oh, he could have done this. This could have been better. Why did he do this? Like that was like, I don't know. It's just me nitpicking the book, because I really enjoyed the premise of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a school and they train monster hunters, and you go out and this and that, and you fucking kill these monsters that are attacking children, blah blah blah. But like I get it. Like, you have to sometimes put yourself in the book, right? But when
is that what happened?
Yeah, when he does that, I'm like, dude, come on, you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to put yourself in the book. And
the self insert.
Yeah, exactly. The self insert. And once he did that, I was like, why are you doing that? But he doesn't do it once. He does it again and again and again. Now, mind you, he does it, a little bit of the subterfuge, like you don't really realize what's going on. But if you study his other stuff, his other writings, you start seeing a pattern, and you see like where he's putting himself in the comic. And I'm like, oh, come on, dude, like, please.
I see.
But at the same time, I really enjoyed what he wrote, and I was like, wow, this is really. It's like that. I don't know if it was in a Simpsons episode where Homer's eating something that he hates, but he loves it at the same time. He's like, God, I hate eating this, but it's so delicious at the same time. That's what it felt like. Like, I hate reading this because I just fucking hate it, but it's so good at the same time.
I see. Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thing you bring up, because that's another thing that I noticed in the modern landscape is that there are a lot of self-insert writers out there working for Marvel and DC who just simply just copy themselves and put it themselves in the main character.
And I understand where that kind of comes from, because growing up, you see yourself as that character. Like back in the day when you would read Spider-Man or X-Men, like I could be Wolverine, I am Spider-Man, And now that you have that opportunity, like, well, I'm gonna put myself in the story and cement myself in this universe and stuff. And I don't think that's a good idea. Like, just let it play out the way it does, man. You don't have to, like, don't stick.
Yeah, that's
you're spooning it.
That's what's been the major issue for me, is that I don't understand the argument, nor do I accept it. I totally reject it, and that's the idea of like, well, he's got to, these characters got to be modern. You got to bring them up to the modern times. But it's like, no, you're self-inserting your own beliefs onto this character that's been established long before you came along to write this character. And I think that's a major factor as to why they lost so much of the buying audience, was because, and that's the reason why I stopped reading it, because I started noticing that I was like, wait, this Batman's not being Batman.
Yeah,
Batman's doing, who is this guy? This isn't Batman. And then they get mad when you point it out, and then they call you all sorts of names.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's all about like, look, it's been established already. Like, if you want to do a self-insert, then make your own indie comic book. But we all know why they don't. We all know why they don't do it, because there's no money in it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's only money in when you get, the knock on the door and from DC or Marvel telling you, hey, you want to give it a shot, for a book of ours, and of course that's where the money's at.
And that's the thing that sucks, man, because like you already know these characters are already established. They were established through all the legacy that they have.
Yeah,
but it's very simple, and they try to complicate it. Superman.
Yeah.
Oh, he's an alien from another planet, and he fights for justice. He has all the superpowers. The best superhero ever. Batman.
Yeah.
Oh, his parents were murdered. He's a creature of the night. He has gadgets. All right, cool. Let's go. Spider-Man. Oh, he was bitten by a radioactive spider. He has webs. He swings through New York City. The end. Don't change that. That's what needs to stay. Don't insert other things that don't belong there. You can touch on those things, but they don't make the character what they are. And I think this has been the argument for the past few years. Ever since the wokeness happened, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and all this pendejadas going back and forth between political views, whatever. The tried and true, the stuff that's already the icons that have been established, don't need to be fixed or changed.
Right.
Sometimes the only reason that they are fixed or changed is because someone's losing rights. I think someone's losing rights. Someone's losing. Something's going into public domain,
or they don't want it to be popularized by a certain group of individuals, like Punisher.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude, the Punisher's a mess right now, dude.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to bring it back because of the movie. That's the only reason why they brought him back, was because they're going to use him for the new Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
But even long before that, I mean, dude, the way they did him dirty, especially when Jason Aaron wrote him, and then they try to remake him by some Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., with the same origin story that his family gets killed.
Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have those issues. I read them, and they just no, it's not Frank. It's not Frank.
Exactly. And that adds on to the whole idea of like, why do you want to change something? Well, in this instance, it was because police and right wingers used it for their own reasons, right? For their own T-shirts or whatever the case. But the fact is, like, dude, you like, you have to understand, man. You can't control that. You can't control that. You can only control what you put out.
It's like the Bat Bros, man. Like when fucking the Nolan movie, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna bring it up. When the Nolan movie came out, and all these fucking Bat Bros came out of everywhere, and they had tats and all this.
That's all. Well, that's a different. But see, that's a whole different audience, though.
But you can't control it. You can't.
Exactly. There you go. All right. There you go. Okay, I see what you're saying now. Yeah. You can't control it. You're right. You can't control that, and that's just the way it goes.
You just gotta fucking deal with it, and fucking hope you don't.
And you hope that someone will come along who you could probably persuade to say, hey, look, man, like, I know you love the movies, but trust me when I tell you, you haven't seen anything yet regarding Batman.
Touching on that point, and I think that's something that is happening right now. So that going back to what you said at the beginning of this discussion, the girl that you saw that came into the store and bought Absolute Batman, went outside and started reading it. Those type of readers, that type of audience is slowly coming back, because
I think so.
Everyone has been fucking fed 24/7 tiny bits of information. You can turn on your phone, you can turn on YouTube, you can turn on the radio, and there's these tiny bits of information that are thrown at you all the time. And it's like it's mass consumerism of disposable entertainment and information. Everything's gone in a second. You see it, it lives in your brain for like 20 to 30 seconds, and then it's gone. Just like TikToks, right? And now, because it's so easily accessible, the old lore, the old stuff like books and records and analog stuff, that stuff is so foreign to people that it's interesting and curious. And I think that's what's happening now. People are starting to gravitate to that because it's something that was established a long time ago and entertained people for a very long time until all this new technology came into play and all these new ways of receiving information came into play. So now people are like, well, how does a record player work? And what's a tape deck? And what's a VHS? And what's a book and a comic? These are the old comics. And you've told me this before. The old comics sell out more than the new comics sell out. People are looking for the old comics. Why? Because that was entertainment that had to be packed for you to enjoy for a whole fucking month off of $2 or whatever you would pay for it. And they would have, you would reread it and you would have it and you would like go to it and you would savor it and you know, keep it. And the new stuff that's coming out is so easily disposed, dude, like so quickly. Like, and
it's forgettable. It's forgettable too.
There you go. That's perfect. That's the perfect way. It's forgettable. It's forgettable. And I think that's what people are starting to realize now, especially the younger crowd, the millennials or whatever.
Or I think they're called Gen Z.
The Gen Zs or whatever,
Or no, the Alpha or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know anymore.
They're starting to realize that, and they're starting to see it. And
that concludes part 1 of my talk with Ray Ramos. Tune in next week for part 2, where he dives deep into his own approach of developing his stories and his sources of inspiration, which I found to be very interesting, because I have not found anyone else who has done what he does in regards to how he finds inspiration to develop his stories. So I hope you guys tune in for that one, because it's very insightful. Once again, hit that like, sub, and leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next one.